Let me start by saying this. Every single day is a new chance. A chance to start fresh, to step into your potential, and to move closer to the life you're meant to live. But let's be real, most of us don't treat mornings that way. Instead, we wake up feeling sluggish, overwhelmed, or stuck in the same old cycle. I've been there, trust me. There were days I felt like life was just something happening to me, like I was a passenger instead of the driver. It's frustrating, isn't it? What I learned, though, is that every morning holds power. Not the kind of power that demands perfection or flashy routines, but the quiet strength that comes from starting your day with purpose. This isn't about waking up at 5 a.m. or having the perfect to-do list. It's about the mindset you bring into the first moments of your day. Because here's the truth. How you begin sets the tone for everything else. I want you to think about the mornings where everything clicked, where you felt calm, focused, and ready. Those days didn't happen by accident, did they? There was intention behind them, even if it was something as simple as deciding, "Today, I'm going to take things one step at a time." That's the beauty of mornings. They don't require you to have it all figured out. They just ask you to show up. And that's where the Stoics come in. These ancient philosophers weren't just sitting around in robes, debating life's big questions. They lived their wisdom. They faced battles, heartbreaks, and struggles, just like we do. And what they taught is that every morning is a chance to realign with what matters, to take control of what you can and let go of the rest, to rise with intention, no matter what the day ahead holds. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, "But I'm not a morning person." Let me tell you something. It's not about being a morning person. It's about being your person. The kind of person who doesn't let the day dictate who they are, but chooses to set their own course. That's what I want to share with you today. Not rules that feel rigid or impossible, but principles that can meet you where you are, no matter how your mornings look right now. Because here's the thing, life doesn't wait. It doesn't pause for us to get ready. It moves, whether we're prepared or not. But when we start our days with clarity and purpose, we're no longer playing catch-up. We're leading. And there's something incredibly freeing about knowing you have that power every single day. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter what challenges lie ahead, you can choose to start anew. So, let's take this journey together. Let's dive into what it means to rise not just with energy, but with intention. To treat each dawn not as a routine, but as a gift. A chance to be better, stronger, and more in control of our lives than we were the day before. Let's begin. Let me share something that might shake your perspective. The first moments of your day are like the roots of a tree. Weak roots? The tree struggles, no matter how strong the branches. But deep, solid roots? That tree can weather anything, storms, droughts, even time itself. And mornings are just like that. They're not just the start of a day, they're the foundation of your life. What you do, how you think, and the mindset you carry in those first waking moments set the tone for everything that follows. I used to underestimate this. I thought mornings were just the necessary routine before real life began. But when I started shifting my perspective, everything changed. The chaos got quieter. The overwhelm? It didn't disappear, but it became manageable. Why? Because I learned the Stoic approach to mastering mornings. It's not about controlling the world around you, it's about controlling the way you meet it. When the alarm goes off, it's easy to stay in bed, to let the weight of the day push you back under the covers. But that moment is where discipline begins. I'm not talking about forcing yourself out of bed like it's a punishment. I'm talking about rising with a sense of purpose. You're not just waking up. You're stepping into your role, your mission, your life. That's how the Stoics viewed it. They didn't see mornings as a chore. They saw them as an opportunity to align their actions with their values. The first thing I do each morning is remind myself why I'm getting up. It might sound simple, but it's powerful. When you wake with intention, you're not just reacting to life, you're leading it. Marcus Aurelius spoke of this often. He would wake and remind himself that he was a human being with work to do. Not meaningless tasks, but meaningful ones. And that's key. Connecting your morning to something bigger than the day ahead. For me, it started with a single question. What kind of person do I want to be today? Not what I want to achieve, but who I want to become. That small shift changed everything. It reframed my mornings from being about productivity to being about purpose. And when you start your day with purpose, even the smallest actions feel significant. One practice I've adopted is setting aside a few moments of quiet as soon as I wake. No phone, no rushing, just stillness. It's not about meditating or emptying my mind, it's about grounding myself. I sit with my thoughts and ask, what matters today? What distractions will I let go of? It's like clearing the fog before stepping into the world. And trust me, this isn't about perfection. Some days my thoughts are scattered, and that's okay. The act of pausing is what matters. Another thing I've learned is the importance of physical movement in the morning. It doesn't have to be intense or time-consuming. A simple stretch, a short walk, even just standing up and taking a few deep breaths can reset your body and mind. The Stoics understood this connection between the body and the mind. When you care for one, you strengthen the other. Movement clears the residue of sleep and prepares you to meet the day with energy and focus. I've also discovered the power of reflecting on the things I can control. It's easy to get overwhelmed by everything that might happen in a day. But here's the truth. Most of it isn't in your hands. What is? Your actions, your choices, your responses. Starting the day by acknowledging that keeps me grounded. It's a small shift in perspective, but it makes a huge difference. Instead of feeling weighed down by uncertainty, I feel empowered by what's within my reach. When I talk about discipline, I don't mean rigidity. Discipline isn't about stripping joy from your morning. It's about creating the space for what truly matters. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. The Stoics didn't advocate for strict, joyless routines. They believed in balance. They understood that discipline frees you to focus on what's meaningful. For me, that means creating a morning rhythm, not a strict schedule. A rhythm is flexible but purposeful. It might start with a few minutes of gratitude, a cup of coffee savored without distraction, or even writing down one thing I'm looking forward to. These small acts anchor my day. They remind me that even in a busy world, I have control over how I show up. One of the most transformative lessons I've learned is the importance of aligning my mornings with my values. If kindness, courage, and growth are values I hold dear, then I want my mornings to reflect that. That might mean choosing to be patient with myself if I wake up feeling off, or taking a moment to encourage someone else as part of my day's start. It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistency. Challenges will come, they always do, but starting your day with discipline prepares you for them. When the unexpected hits, a delayed train, a tough conversation, or a setback, you've already set the tone. You're not scrambling to find your footing because you started the day grounded. Mornings, I've come to realize, are a practice. They're not something you master once and for all. They're something you return to daily, like a craftsman honing their art. Some mornings will feel easier than others. That's life. But each one is an opportunity to begin again, to choose intention over habit, clarity over chaos, and purpose over passivity. Let me leave you with this. The way you rise matters. Not just for how the day unfolds, but for how your life unfolds. When you approach your mornings with discipline and purpose, You're not just shaping a routine, you're shaping yourself. And that, my friend, is a practice worth mastering. So, we've laid the groundwork for how powerful mornings can be, how they set the tone and give you a fresh start. But let me ask you something. How often do you let your energy get hijacked by things you can't control? Be honest, it happens to all of us. You wake up and before you've even finished your coffee, your mind is racing about things far outside your influence. I've been there. I've wasted too many mornings worrying about the unpredictable, letting my peace slip through my fingers before the day even begins. But here's a hard truth that changed my perspective. Most of what we stress over isn't ours to fix. It's like trying to calm a storm by shouting at the wind. The storm doesn't hear you, and you're left exhausted and defeated. That's why understanding the difference between what's within your control and what isn't is one of the most liberating lessons you'll ever learn. It's not just freeing, it's empowering. It gives you the clarity to focus your energy on what truly matters. This shift in perspective starts with your thoughts. I've learned that the first battle every morning is in your mind. It's easy to get caught up in external pressures, how people will react, whether plans will work out, or how the world might unfold. But the Stoics teach us that our power lies in our thoughts, decisions, and actions. That's it. Those are the only things we truly own. When I first started practicing this, I realized how much time I was spending on things outside my grasp. It was a wake-up call. One practice that's helped me immensely is setting boundaries for my thoughts. As soon as I catch myself spiraling about something I can't influence, whether it's someone's opinion, an outcome I can't guarantee, or even the weather, I pause. I literally tell myself, that's not mine to control. It might sound simple, but it's a game changer. It creates space to redirect my energy to something I can actually do something about. Focusing on what you can control doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything's fine. It means acknowledging what's outside your influence while choosing to channel your energy where it counts. For example, if I know a difficult conversation is coming up, I can't control the other person's response. But I can control how I prepare, how I show up, and how I respond. That shift, from worrying about them to focusing on me, turns anxiety into action. Action is where the real power lies. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't sit around pondering life's uncertainties. They acted within their sphere of control. I've started applying this to my mornings in small but impactful ways. If I wake up feeling off or unmotivated, I don't dwell on the feeling. Instead, I ask myself, what's one thing I can do right now to move forward? It could be as simple as making my bed or starting my first task of the day. It's not about fixing everything at once. It's about taking that first step. Another lesson I've learned is that focusing on what you can control gives you clarity in chaos. When life throws unexpected challenges your way, and it will, you'll be able to pause and separate what's yours from what isn't. Let's say you're facing a stressful situation at work. Maybe a deadline has shifted or someone dropped the ball. It's tempting to panic or get angry, but neither of those reactions changes the situation. Instead, ask yourself, what's within my control here? Maybe it's reorganizing your priorities or communicating with your team. By focusing on actionable steps, you take back your power. Let's talk about how this applies to relationships, because this is a big one. So much of our emotional energy gets tied up in how others treat us, what they think, or how they respond to us. But the truth is, you can't control other people, not their actions, not their thoughts, not their feelings. What you can control is how you show up. You can decide to communicate clearly, to set boundaries, and to act with integrity, regardless of how someone else behaves. This mindset has saved me countless hours of frustration. When you stop trying to manage other people and focus on managing yourself, everything shifts. Focusing on what you can control also means being intentional about your goals. Too often, we set ourselves up for failure by obsessing over outcomes instead of the actions that lead to them. Here's an example. Let's say you're working toward a big goal, like starting a business or getting in shape. You can't control whether you'll succeed or how quickly progress will come, but you can control your effort, your consistency, and your mindset. When you focus on those, the results often take care of themselves. There's also a deeper layer to this practice, one that's profoundly freeing, letting go of the need for certainty. Life is unpredictable, no matter how much we try to control it. But when you focus on what's within your sphere of influence, you stop needing guarantees. You learn to trust yourself to handle whatever comes. That trust is something no one can take away from you. Every morning, I remind myself of a simple truth. I don't have to solve every problem or control every outcome. My job is to take ownership of my actions, my responses, and my mindset. That's it. And honestly, it's enough. When you let go of the rest, you create space for peace, clarity, and purpose. This isn't always easy. There are days when the pull to control everything feels overwhelming. But that's when this practice matters most. The more you flex this mental muscle, the stronger it gets. And over time, it becomes second nature. You stop wasting energy on what's out of your hands, and you start channeling it into what you can actually shape. As you step into each morning, ask yourself this: where will I place my energy today? What's mine to influence and what isn't? These questions are simple but powerful. They remind you that your time, your energy, and your peace are worth protecting. And they guide you toward a life that's not just reactive, but intentional. When you focus on what you can control, you're not just setting the foundation for a good day, you're setting the foundation for a resilient, purposeful life. And that's the kind of life worth building, one morning at a time. So now that we've talked about focusing on what you can control, let's take this one step deeper. There's something even more profound that shapes how we live: gratitude. Not just the surface level kind, where you say thank you because it's polite, but a deep, soul-shaking gratitude rooted in understanding life's fragility and beauty. It's easy to rush past it, to take the gift of a new day for granted. But when you pause long enough to let gratitude sink in, something incredible happens. It changes how you see everything. I'll be honest with you, there was a time in my life when mornings felt mundane, even heavy. I'd wake up, go through the motions, and let the weight of the day ahead settle on my shoulders before I'd even started. But then, I stumbled across the Stoic concept of memento mori, a reminder of mortality. It might sound grim at first, but it's not. It's the most life-affirming idea I've ever embraced. It taught me that every sunrise is a chance to live fully, love deeply, and be present in the moment. When you start your day with gratitude and an awareness of how fleeting life is, everything changes. Gratitude, when practiced at sunrise, does something powerful. It resets your mind. It pulls you out of autopilot and reminds you that waking up is a privilege, not a guarantee. Think about it. How many people didn't get that chance today? The first thought that crosses your mind in the morning should not be about problems or tasks, but about the simple fact that you're here. You have this day, this opportunity, this breath. When you begin from that place, you're already starting on solid ground. One way I've made this real in my life is by consciously acknowledging the small things. I'm not talking about grand achievements or monumental moments, but the everyday miracles we often overlook. The warmth of the sun on your face, the smell of coffee brewing, the sound of birds outside your window. When you notice these things, it's like unlocking a hidden layer of the world, one filled with richness and wonder. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that even in imperfection, there's beauty. Memento mori adds depth to gratitude because it forces you to confront life's impermanence. It's not about dwelling on death, but using the reality of it to fuel your appreciation for what's in front of you. When you remind yourself that your days are finite, the trivial things that usually bother you, traffic, delays, minor annoyances, start to lose their grip. You begin to ask yourself, is this how I want to spend the limited time I have? That perspective is a gift. It doesn't make life easier, but it makes it clearer. There's another layer to this practice that I've found transformative: expressing gratitude for the challenges in your life, not just the joys. It's easy to feel grateful for what feels good, but the Stoics teach us to find value in difficulty. I've started asking myself every morning, what lessons have my struggles taught me? This doesn't mean I enjoy hardship, but it shifts my mindset from victimhood to growth. When you can say, I'm grateful for this obstacle because it made me stronger, you reclaim your power. Gratitude also creates a ripple effect. When you carry it into your interactions, it changes how you show up for others. I've seen this firsthand. When I start my day rooted in appreciation, I'm more patient, more generous, and more present. People notice, they feel it. Gratitude is contagious, and when you practice it consistently, you're not just changing your own life, you're impacting the lives around you. One of the most grounding practices I've adopted is starting each morning with a simple gratitude exercise. Before I reach for my phone or let the noise of the day creep in, I take a moment to list 3 things I'm grateful for. Sometimes they're big, like my health or the people I love. Other times, they're as simple as the quiet of the early morning or the feeling of a soft pillow. This practice doesn't take long, but its effects last all day. It sets the tone, reminding me of what truly matters. Another perspective shift that's helped me is thinking of gratitude as an action, not just a feeling. It's not enough to feel thankful. You have to live it. For me, that means showing appreciation through small acts. Writing a thoughtful message to someone who's impacted my life, giving my full attention to a conversation, or even just smiling at a stranger. These moments may seem small, but they're how gratitude takes shape in the real world. Let's not forget the role of nature in this process. The Stoics often drew inspiration from the natural world, and I've found that stepping outside, even for a few minutes in the morning, can be a profound reminder of life's beauty. The way the sky shifts colors at dawn, the sound of leaves rustling in the wind, these are gentle nudges to stay present and thankful. When I take the time to notice these things, I feel more connected to the bigger picture, more grounded in the here and now. Gratitude also sharpens your focus. When you're thankful for what you have, you stop wasting energy chasing what doesn't matter. This isn't about settling or giving up on ambition. It's about appreciating the journey while you're on it. I've learned that when you start your day with gratitude, you're less likely to be derailed by envy or comparison. You're too busy appreciating your own path. Gratitude transforms how you view time. When you start each day thankful for the present moment, you stop wishing time away. You're not rushing to the weekend or counting down hours until the next big thing. You're living now. That shift, learning to savor the moment instead of rushing through it, is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Starting your morning with gratitude is more than a feel-good habit. It's a way of aligning yourself with what truly matters. It's a reminder that life, in all its complexity, is still a gift. When you carry that awareness with you, the day doesn't just feel lighter, it feels meaningful. And that, my friend, is the power of gratitude. Let it guide you, anchor you, and inspire you as the sun rises and another day begins. So we've uncovered the power of gratitude and the clarity it brings to start each day with purpose. Now, let me ask you something. How often do you find your thoughts tugging you in two directions, toward the weight of the past or the uncertainty of the future? It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the truth I've learned. Life only truly exists in the present. That's it. The past is gone. The future isn't here yet, and all we have is now. The problem is, most of us miss it because our minds are everywhere else. Learning to live in the present isn't just a nice idea. It's a discipline. It's about consciously choosing to be here, fully in this moment, instead of letting life pass you by. This is something the Stoics emphasized again and again. They saw every day, every moment as a brick in the structure of life. If you lay those bricks carefully, with intention, you build something solid and meaningful. But if you let distractions and worries guide your hands, the foundation starts to crack. For me, living in the present started with a simple realization. The moments I was missing were the ones that mattered most. I'd be sitting with friends, but my mind would be on a deadline. Or I'd be walking outside, but I'd be replaying an argument from the day before. I was physically there, but mentally, I was miles away. Once I recognized this, I made a commitment to change. The first step was learning to notice when my mind was drifting. It's not about judgment or trying to stop the thoughts. It's about awareness. I started asking myself, where am I right now? If my mind was stuck in the past, I'd remind myself that what's done is done. If it was racing ahead to the future, I'd pull it back by focusing on what I could do in that moment. This practice takes time, but every time you bring your mind back to the present, it's like flexing a muscle. It gets stronger. Living in the present also means letting go of the need to control what's already happened or what's yet to come. One thing I've learned is that worry and regret are thieves. They rob you of your energy, your peace, and your ability to see the beauty in front of you. When I catch myself worrying, I ask, what can I do right now? If the answer is nothing, I let it go. If there is something I can do, I act. That shift from thinking to doing grounds me. Another powerful tool for staying present is focusing on small, intentional actions. The Stoics believed in taking life one step at a time, and this has been transformative for me. Instead of getting overwhelmed by everything I need to do, I narrow my focus to the task at hand. If I'm writing, I give it my full attention. If I'm having a conversation, I listen fully. It's not always easy, but when I approach each action as if it's the only thing that matters, I feel more connected and less scattered. I've also found that presence is closely tied to gratitude. When you're fully in the moment, you start noticing things you might otherwise overlook. The way sunlight filters through a window, the sound of laughter, the feeling of a deep breath filling your lungs. These are the moments that make life rich. But you can't appreciate them if your mind is somewhere else. Practicing gratitude for the small details of the present anchors you in it. One challenge I've faced is letting go of the past. It's easy to get stuck replaying mistakes or wishing things had turned out differently. But the more I clung to those thoughts, the more I realized they were chains, not lessons. The Stoics teach us that the past is beyond our control. What matters is how we respond to it in the present. I've started reframing my past, not as a burden, but as a teacher. Instead of dwelling on regrets, I ask, what can I learn from this right now? That shift has been freeing. The future can be just as tricky. It's natural to plan and hope, but there's a fine line between preparation and obsession. I've caught myself getting so wrapped up in what might happen that I lose sight of what's actually happening. The key, I've found, is balancing vision with presence. You can have goals and plans, but the only way to reach them is by focusing on what you can do today. The future is built one moment at a time. A practice that's helped me stay present is mindfulness. I don't mean sitting cross-legged for hours, I mean simple moments of awareness. It could be paying attention to the taste of your food, the rhythm of your breathing, or the feel of the ground under your feet. These small acts of mindfulness bring you back to now. They remind you that this moment is enough. Living in the present also means embracing imperfection. Life is messy, unpredictable, and rarely goes according to plan, but that's where its beauty lies. When you're fully present, you're not waiting for everything to be perfect. You're finding joy in what is. I've learned to laugh at the chaos, to find humor in setbacks, and to appreciate the journey, even when it's bumpy. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is that living in the present is a choice you make over and over again. There will be days when it feels easy and days when it feels impossible. But every time you bring your attention back to now, you're building something meaningful. You're laying another brick in the foundation of a life well lived. This isn't about escaping reality or pretending everything is fine. It's about fully engaging with the reality in front of you. It's about showing up for your life, moment by moment, and finding meaning in the process. When you live this way, you're not just existing, you're truly living. And that, my friend, is what makes all the difference. Living in the present allows us to savor life as it unfolds, but let's be real. Life doesn't always hand us smooth mornings or perfect days. Challenges show up, often uninvited, and it's tempting to see them as interruptions to the peace we're trying to cultivate. But here's something I've learned through both personal struggle and the wisdom of the Stoics. Challenges are not barriers, they're stepping stones. They're not here to block your path, but to help you grow stronger. And when you shift your mindset to see obstacles this way, something incredible happens. You stop fearing them and start using them. I've had mornings where nothing seemed to go right, days where I woke up late, spilled coffee on myself, or got blindsided by bad news before breakfast. In those moments, frustration was my first reaction. I'd feel like the world was conspiring against me. But over time, I began to realize that these interruptions were actually invitations to practice resilience. The Stoics call this turning the obstacle into the way, and it's one of the most empowering lessons I've ever embraced. One of the first things I do when faced with a challenge is pause. It sounds simple, but it's harder than it looks. The instinct is to react, to get angry, defensive, or overwhelmed. But pausing creates space. It allows you to shift from reacting to responding. When I take that moment to breathe and reflect, I ask myself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me better? Those questions turn the situation on its head. Instead of being a victim of circumstance, I become a student of it. I remember a specific morning when a project I'd been working on for weeks completely fell apart. My initial reaction was pure frustration. But as I sat there, staring at the mess, I asked myself, what is this teaching me? That simple shift changed everything. I realized I'd been rushing the process, skipping over details I thought didn't matter. The challenge wasn't there to ruin me. It was there to slow me down, to make me more deliberate and precise. That morning, I rebuilt the project from scratch, and it ended up being far better than I'd originally planned. Challenges, especially in the morning, have a way of setting the tone for the entire day. But here's where the Stoic mindset becomes invaluable. The obstacle doesn't define the day. Your response to it does. When you face a tough moment and handle it with grace, you build momentum. You prove to yourself that you're capable, that you can handle what life throws at you. That confidence carries you forward, not just for the rest of the day, but for every day after. Another thing I've learned is that challenges are opportunities to practice virtues. The Stoics believed that every obstacle is a chance to cultivate qualities like patience, courage, and wisdom. When someone cuts me off in traffic or I face a delay that throws off my schedule, I remind myself, this is a chance to practice patience. When I'm confronted with a problem that feels overwhelming, I see it as an opportunity to practice courage. These moments are like a gym for the mind and spirit. They may not be comfortable, but they make you stronger. I've also found that challenges often reveal hidden strengths. Think about it. How many times have you been pushed to your limit and discovered you were capable of more than you realized? Those moments of struggle show you what you're made of. They peel back the layers of doubt and hesitation and force you to rise to the occasion. The Stoics didn't fear adversity because they saw it as a mirror, reflecting back their true potential. Turning challenges into opportunities isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about being honest with yourself while choosing not to be defeated. I've had mornings where I've felt completely overwhelmed, but instead of letting those feelings take over, I've asked myself, what's one small step I can take right now? Sometimes it's as simple as making a list or tackling the easiest task on my plate. Those small wins create momentum, and before I know it, the challenge that seemed insurmountable starts to shrink. Another powerful practice is reframing the way you think about failure. The Stoics believed that failure isn't the end. It's a step on the path to growth. When something doesn't go as planned, it's not a reason to give up. It's a reason to adjust, to learn, and to try again. I've learned more from my failures than from my successes, and that perspective has made challenges feel less intimidating. They're not roadblocks. They're detours, guiding me toward a better version of myself. There's also something deeply humbling about challenges. They remind us that we're not in control of everything, and that's okay. When I face something I can't change, I focus on what I can do instead. Maybe I can't fix the problem right away, but I can control my attitude, my effort, and my willingness to keep going. That shift from helplessness to action is incredibly freeing. I've also started seeing challenges as opportunities to connect with others. When I'm struggling, I remind myself that I'm not alone, that everyone faces obstacles in their own way. Sharing my experience, asking for advice, or even just venting to a trusted friend can turn a tough moment into a chance for connection. It's a reminder that we're all human, navigating life's ups and downs together. One of the most powerful lessons I've learned is that challenges are temporary, but the growth they inspire lasts forever. Every obstacle you overcome becomes a part of your story, a testament to your resilience. And the more you face, the more you realize that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. It's not about avoiding difficulties, it's about learning to thrive in spite of them. When I look back at the challenges I've faced, I don't see them as setbacks anymore. I see them as the moments that shaped me, the turning points that forced me to grow. And that's what I want you to take away from this. The next time you're faced with a tough morning or an unexpected hurdle, don't run from it. Meet it head-on with curiosity and courage. Ask yourself, how can this make me better? Because that's what challenges are for. They're not here to break you, they're here to build you. And the more you embrace them, the stronger you become. As we wrap up, let me leave you with this. Your mornings are more than just the start of your day, they're the foundation for your life. Every sunrise is an invitation, a fresh slate to step closer to the person you're striving to become. Whether it's embracing gratitude, focusing on what you can control, or turning challenges into opportunities, each of these practices isn't just about having a better morning. It's about living with clarity, resilience, and purpose. Here's the thing, it's not about perfection. You're going to have messy mornings, days when things feel heavy or go sideways. But even in those moments, you have a choice. You can show up. you can lay one more brick in the life you're building. And the beauty of it all, the effort you put in compounds. Each mindful morning leads to a more intentional life. So let me ask you, what's one thing you're going to take from this and apply to your mornings? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your commitment or even your struggles in the comments. Let's grow together, because I know your perspective can inspire someone else here too. And if this journey resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Together we're building more than routines, we're building lives of meaning and strength, one sunrise at a time. Thank you for being here, and remember, every dawn is a new chance. Seize it.